Welcome to Cyberclassica channel with daily story updates. Remember to subscribe. The story begins. When I was 7 months pregnant, my husband's first love lost her memory due to a car accident and only remembered when they were passionately in love. She even brought a group of friends to my house and accused me of being a mistress. She was wearing a tight black dress with obvious curves. "Auntie, don't be ridiculous. You really look a bit over the top. How could Daniel possibly like you?" I felt aggrieved and wanted to call the police, but my husband grabbed my cell phone. "Sophia has lost her memory now. She is a patient. You are really going too far. Besides, she has a point. Recently, you are a bit fat. It's time to lose weight." When I heard this, I felt like I was struck by lightning. My body was a bit unsteady. My heart felt like it had been hit hard, and it hurt so much that tears flowed down my face. Daniel's face didn't look too good and his tone was a bit reproachful. "Emily, you're getting less and less understanding. There's nothing wrong with Sophia and I. What's wrong with me helping her out when she's sick? I've done right by you. You've gained weight since you got pregnant. I didn't even go to anyone else. What exactly are you still dissatisfied with?" I gritted my teeth and felt a pain in my heart. At that time, I got pregnant unexpectedly, and he cried and wanted me to keep the baby. But now, just because of the words of his first love, he has become a completely different person and began to say unpleasant things to me, completely disregarding the feelings of me and the child in my stomach. Tears streamed down my face and my lips trembled as I said, "Daniel, it was you who begged me to give you a child." His face was not good, his eyes flickered a little, but still hardened his heart and said, "The child is in your belly. If you do not want, I begged you, it is useless. Ultimately it is up to you to want to give birth. Besides, who would have thought that you would become so fat after pregnancy? Other people are the most beautiful moms when they are pregnant, but you have become the fattest mom." I held my stomach as a wave of anger and sadness welled up in my heart. It was like there was a fire burning fiercely in my heart, making me feel pain in all my organs. At the beginning of my pregnancy, the condition of the fetus was not very good because of my thin figure. The doctor advised me to gain a little weight appropriately. Daniel purposely went to get a chef's license and is now responsible for my 3 meals every day. Under his care, I lost a lot of weight and gained almost 30 pounds. He was very caring at first, but now he was a bit impatient, busy at the company every day, and no longer cooked for me. Once I had a whim to drink the chicken soup he made, but he looked unhappy, frowned and said, "Eat, eat, eat, eat. Every day only know how to eat. Do not look at how much they have gained weight." I replied back to him, "I am so busy in the company every day. How can I have time to cook for you?" For the sake of the child, I pretended not to notice his changes. In my mind, I thought it would be fine when the baby was born. But the result of my patience only made his attitude towards me worse. He and his first love mocked me unabashedly in front of me, making all my previous hopes unbearable. I realized what he was really thinking and didn't want to settle for being with someone who didn't deserve it because of the baby. "Daniel, you don't actually love me or the baby, do you?" Daniel's body stiffened when he heard this and a hint of surprise appeared on his face. "What are you talking about? Your child is about to be born. Can I love anyone else?" Sophia heard what I asked from the side. A hint of smugness appeared in her eyes, but she quickly pretended to be flustered and said, "Daniel, is it because of me that my sister doubts your sincerity? It's all my fault. I really didn't mean it." Daniel gently pinched her cheeks and gently comforted her. "It's not your fault. It's because she's too sensitive." Then he turned his head to look at me. The impatience on his face became a little more obvious. "Emily, stop it. As long as you behave yourself and let me accompany Sophia to retrieve her memories, your place in my heart will always remain the same." After saying that, Daniel didn't wait for me to speak and grabbed Sophia's chin. "Sophia, I remember you used to like kissing me like this the most, and said that you found me particularly attractive." Sophia stood on her tiptoes and responded with a smile, "I almost forgot. Daniel, come and help me retrieve my memory." The two hugged each other tightly and kissed very passionately. I couldn't help but feel sick to my stomach when I saw the drool coming out between them, and I couldn't help but vomit. The sound of vomiting suddenly broke the intimate atmosphere between them. Daniel and Sophia were startled and their eyes turned to me in surprise. Sophia's black wraparound dress was covered in disgusting vomit and she looked a mess. She cried and yelled at me, "Is there something wrong with you? Are you making me feel bad on purpose?" Daniel also looked back, frowning with annoyance in his eyes. "What do you want?" "Just go apologize to Sophia." I was shaking with anger and looked straight at Daniel, asking, "Are you crazy to make me go apologize to her?" Sophia was crying and stomping her feet at the same time, pointing at me. "Daniel, look, not only did she dirty my dress, but she was also so mean to me." After saying that, she suddenly stepped forward and pushed me hard. I didn't have much defense. I suddenly took a few steps backward and fell heavily on the ground. Daniel frowned and blocked Sophia behind him and said to me with a displeased face, "Look at you, this is so embarrassing." I struggled to get up, but my movements looked comical because of my bulky body. It caused everyone present to laugh. "That look of my brother-in-law's is really like a fat penguin. Ha ha ha, I can't stand laughing, it's too funny." Daniel looked even more displeased. He said coldly, "Don't lose face here, go back to your room." I felt my face reddening all of a sudden, and the shame came like a tidal wave. But the more anxious I was, the less I could stand up. Daniel looked anxious and jerked me up off the floor, trying to drag me back to the bedroom. Sophia stopped him and said in an ambiguous tone, "Daniel, do you remember what we did in your bedroom after high school? I'd like to try one more time to see if it jogs my memory. Just put my sister in the kitchen." Daniel's throat twitched slightly, looking agitated, and without hesitation he pulled me into the kitchen. Suddenly, I stifled a muffled grunt as I was thrown to the cold floor and my stomach hit the cabinet next to me. Daniel stopped and tried to help me, but was interrupted by Sophia. "Daniel, my head hurts and I feel like I'm close to remembering something. Can you come help me?" Daniel rushes over and wraps his arm around Sophia's waist and rushes to lead her out of the kitchen, completely oblivious to the fact that I'm on the floor in a cold sweat from the pain. I looked down and felt what seemed to be oozing out from underneath. Blood had seeped through my clothes and spread across the floor. The situation was not good. I desperately knocked on the door for help. The kitchen door was translucent glass. Daniel and Sophia were overlapping the door in a very ambiguous situation. They didn't care at all about the sound of my knocking, as if they were lost in their own world. Sophia looked over at me, silently provoking me with the shape of her mouth, as if to say, "You lose." She pulled Daniel to the kitchen door and deliberately provoked me. "Daniel, do you remember the first time we met? It was also in the kitchen. At that time, I was cooking noodles for you, but you hugged me from behind and said you would be full if you ate me." Daniel gasped, his eyes a little misty. "Of course I remember. You are still as charming as ever." The sound of fireworks outside the window and the soft whispers of a woman intertwined, completely drowning out the sound of my pleas for help. "I'm sorry, I can't handle this request." The rapping on the door became less and less forceful, and finally my hands hung limply. Someone glanced curiously into the kitchen and immediately blanched. "Daniel, it's bad. It seems like something really happened to my sister-in-law. There's a lot of blood on the kitchen floor." Hearing that someone had discovered the abnormality, I had a glimmer of hope in my heart. Daniel, with a blush on his face, said with some dissatisfaction that there was a lot of red wine in the kitchen, she must have spilled it on purpose, and asked me to let her out. The man still felt uneasy and continued to persuade him, "Daniel, it is better to open the door and take a look. After all, sister-in-law is still pregnant." "Daniel, I feel so uncomfortable in my body. I am about to remember something. Sister must be jealous. She is so fat. Her body is full of fat. How can she fall and bleed at once? Just now my sister was so fierce, I was really scared. Daniel, come over and help me see if I'm panicking inside." His eyes were gloomy, and he directly picked up Sophia and walked towards the bedroom. Everyone should have a little bit of eyesight, and not to waste my time to get Sophia's memory back. Under Daniel's forcefulness, the man didn't dare to insist. Everyone was worried that something might go wrong, so they left one by one. The bustle in the room slowly diminished, leaving only the occasional sound of fireworks coming from outside the window. As the people in the room became less and less, the glow in my heart gradually diminished. A sharp pain kept coming from the small of my back. Darkness came in like a tidal wave, and I seemed to be able to feel the little life leaving me a little. But I couldn't give up. I made a strong effort to touch something hard in the darkness, a knife. Gripping the handle of the knife tightly, I began to bang hard on the cupboard. Clang, 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 the sound rang out in the quiet kitchen. The person in the bedroom heard the noise and came huffing out, kicking the kitchen door hard and shouting angrily, "Emily, how long are you going to keep this up? If Sophia can't find her memories, you're the one most responsible." I look through the frosted glass door and see Daniel topless, his pants hanging loosely around his waist. "Daniel, just ignore her. Let's hurry up," Sophia softly urged from behind him, a hint of smugness in her tone. Daniel took a deep breath and gave me another hard look. "What bad luck." "Sophia, tidy up. I'll take you to the place we used to date for a few days." At home, there are always some people who like to make a fuss, making it impossible to relax at all. He dragged Sophia away and the door slammed shut. The last bit of hope in my heart for him was completely gone. I was left alone in the room. Darkness and silence accompanied me. Every second seemed especially long. The sharp pain in my belly kept tormenting my body and my will like the claws of a demon. Trying to keep my last bit of consciousness, I took off my skirt and wrote a message for help in blood. 19th floor, save me. I threw it out the window with all my might. I don't know how long it took, but there was a knock on the door outside. I could vaguely hear someone coming in. My eyes were heavy and I wanted to call for help but couldn't speak. Then there was darkness before my eyes and I fainted completely. The smell of disinfectant water wafted into my nose. I slowly opened my eyes and realized I was lying in a hospital. My stomach hurt a little, and I instinctively tried to comfort the baby in my stomach. My hand stopped in midair. My stomach that was bulging was now flat. At that moment, the door to the hospital room gently pushed open and the nurse walked in. My lips trembled and I wanted to say something, but I found my throat so dry that I could only say softly, "The baby." The nurse froze for a moment, and with a flash of sympathy in her eyes, she said, "The baby wasn't saved. You were suffering from severe blood loss and placental abruption. The situation was very dangerous. The doctors did their best." I looked at her and couldn't stop the tears from flowing down my face. My heart hurt like being hit by a hammer. The nurse sighed softly when she saw me so sad. "You were brought in really critical, bleeding a lot and all your body functions were greatly affected. The doctors did everything they could to keep you alive. You need to take care of your body or it might be difficult to get pregnant in the future." After comforting me, she asked me about my family as usual. "How is your family? You were sent here by a neighbor. You can't have anyone less around you now. Call your husband to come and stay with you quickly." Husband? I thought he was probably so lost in the sweet memories of his first love that he forgot the rest. I forced a smile and dialed Daniel's number. The phone rang once and was hung up. I didn't give up and tried a few more times. He finally relented and picked up the phone and started talking loudly. "Emily, what do you want?" "I'm just staying out with Sophia for a few days. I've already said she needs to rest now. Why can't you just be more understanding? This is my last warning. Don't bother me again." After saying that, the phone was hung up violently. The nurse next to me was so surprised that she covered her mouth and said incredulously, "How could there be such a husband?" Just as the screen was about to go off, a message suddenly popped up. A small number sent me a recording. Daniel's voice came into my ears clearly. "Sophia, it's really smart of you to come up with the amnesia so that I can be with you openly and honestly. I'm so sick of having to be with that Emily guy every day. You're the one who makes me feel better." I froze and looked at my phone, tears streaming down my face somehow. The nurse saw me crying and rushed to hand me tissues. "Don't be too sad. Now you have to take care of your body. The people around you are inseparable. Have to hurry to contact other family members to stay with you." I took the tissue and gently wiped away my tears, trying to stabilize my emotions. In fact, I haven't had any other family members for a long time. During college, my parents died in a car accident. Relatives began to put pressure on me as a child, wanting to grab the property left behind by my parents. It was Daniel who hired a lawyer to help me out of that difficult time. I used to feel that he was the bright light in my life, someone I could rely on. So when he confessed his love to me, I said yes immediately. Not long after we got together, his family went bankrupt because of his father's failed investment and went from being a great success to being in debt. I sold the house left to me by my parents and also gave up the opportunity to study abroad on exchange to accompany him to start a business to pay off the debt. I moved from a dark and damp basement to a spacious and bright apartment. Although I struggled hard, life wasn't easy, and I was left with a lot of physical problems from staying up all night drinking and socializing. On the day we moved to our new home, he hugged me tightly, with tears in his eyes, and swore, "Emily, I will never let you down in this life. You are the most important person in my life, and I will spend the rest of my life repaying you for everything you've done." At that time I was so happy in my heart, thinking that all the difficulties were over and we were finally going to welcome happiness. Now lying in a hospital bed, the promise that I once made seems to be still echoing in my ears, but in reality it has been shattered. I wiped my tears, opened Daniel's chat record, and simply sent a sentence. Let's get a divorce. It didn't take long for my cell phone to ring, and it was Daniel who called. Can you stop kidding around? You are now pregnant. After leaving me, which man will still want you? Besides, I haven't done anything wrong to you. I tried to keep my voice steady. We don't have a baby anymore, Daniel. You made the baby leave. I don't want to be with you anymore. Daniel responded with an impatient TSK. Emily, how can you be so cruel as to accuse me of using the child? Don't threaten me by mentioning the child again. It's really not appropriate for you to be a mom when you talk like that. Before I could say anything, I heard Sophia's voice with a sobbing tone over there. Daniel, why don't you just go back? After all, the baby is still in my sister's stomach. I am worried that she may not be able to think straight for a while, and it will not be good for the baby. Daniel softly comforted her. It's not your fault. It's Emily. She is too pretentious herself. Come on, where did we talk just now? Continue. Ah. The woman's ambiguous exclamation of surprise came from the other end of the phone, and then some kissing sounds were heard. It really makes people feel uncomfortable. I didn't control it and threw up. Hospitalized for 3 days. He never contacted me. As for where he was, Sophia's social accounts told me the answer. They were in a town full of memories, like a normal couple. Holding hands, they were walking down the street, trying the local food, and taking happy selfies for the camera. Every time Sophia posted an update, she wrote something sweet, and her deep love for Daniel was evident in her words. I liked every video. Later, when I went to check out of the hospital, I ran into Daniel and the doctor pushing a hospital bed quickly down the hallway. When he saw me, he turned his head as if he didn't see me. I heard the EMT making arrangements for the operating room and quickly prepared the Rh-negative blood. The patient is hemorrhaging from a ruptured corpus luteum and needs a transfusion procedure. What? There's no more stock? The EMT hung up the phone and hurriedly told Daniel about the current situation. He, who had just ignored me, suddenly stopped and turned towards me. Emily, you're Rh-negative. Hurry up and donate blood for Sophia. I was wearing a wide-down jacket and he didn't notice that my stomach was now flat when it should have been bulging before. I struggled to get out of his grip and told him coldly, I just had a miscarriage. I can't donate blood. You should find someone else. Daniel looked at me with a disgruntled look in his eyes. At this point, you're still lying to me, he said, pulling me towards the operating room and running. I had just finished surgery and couldn't walk, so I was practically dragged all the way there by him. Daniel, put me down. I struggled loudly, but he didn't listen at all, just single-mindedly dragging me towards the operating room. I was both angry and anxious, tears welling up in my eyes. How could you do this? I just had a miscarriage. My body simply can't handle another blood transfusion. However, Daniel still didn't listen to me. He was still muttering, Emily, don't do those tricks again. If anything happens to Sophia, I won't let you off easily. Finally, we arrived at the blood transfusion room. The doctor frowned when he saw me in this sorry state. Daniel hurriedly said to the doctor, hurry up. She's Rh-negative blood. Hurry up and give Sophia a blood transfusion. The doctor suddenly slapped his head. I remember. Aren't you the patient who had an induced abortion a few days ago? Your health condition is not suitable for blood donation. Don't come back. The doctor's words were like a heavy hammer, causing Daniel's movements to stop all of a sudden. With a trembling hand, he unzipped the zipper of my down jacket. Seeing the inside, his face immediately turned very pale. Honey, where's our baby? I smiled slightly and said with a touch of sarcasm, I told you a long time ago, the child is gone. It was caused by yourself. The knot in his throat moved and he came over to me and held my hand. His voice was low and hoarse as he asked, Honey, don't joke about this. The baby was born prematurely, wasn't it? You tell me where he is. I want to go pick him up and bring him home. The look of anxiety on his face made me feel ridiculous. I shook his hand away and laughed coldly. Do you want to see him so much? Okay, I'll take you. He froze for a moment, then showed a very happy expression. Honey, I knew we still had our child. Come on, take me to him. He followed behind me, both nervous and excited, and occasionally asked me if the baby was a boy or a girl. Is it good looking? Our baby must be beautiful. I ignored him and continued on my way. Seeing that I kept walking towards the hospital's morgue, he seemed to understand something. The footsteps stopped at once, and the color of his face immediately turned pale. What the hell are you doing? I want to see the child. What are you bringing me here for? I ignored his agitation. Pushing open the cold door, the smell of disinfectant and an aura of death instantly came. His body began to shake uncontrollably and his lips trembled slightly. I slowly walked towards the freezer where the children were kept. With trembling hands, I opened the cabinet door, and the tiny figures under the white cloth made my heart ache. It was 6:30 a.m. the day before yesterday, a girl, weighing 850 grams. I took a piece of paper out of my pocket and handed it to him. It was the death certificate. Daniel looked at the thin piece of paper. His hands were shaking, and it took a while before he took it. He casually glanced at it and realized that the name field was still empty. This brought some not-so-realistic thoughts to his mind. He pointed to the blank space and was about to ask me about it. Suddenly, it occurred to him that our child didn't have a name yet. Back in the early days of my pregnancy, I had a dozen names picked out. Every time I tried to discuss it with Daniel, he always interrupted me impatiently, saying, "We don't know if it's a boy or a girl yet. Let's wait until the baby is born. There's no need to rush." However, for me, my child could no longer wait for the day of birth. He cried out in pain and staggered, wanting to touch the baby, but not daring to do so. He just stayed there, his hands hanging in the air, his eyes full of pain and struggle. I don't know how long it was, but he still didn't want to believe it, and yelled at me, "No way, how can this be my child? Hasn't he always been healthy? How could it suddenly be gone? Are you lying to me? Is it because I didn't stay with you that you're getting back at me?" I couldn't help but laugh. Do you remember how many times I begged for help that day? If you would have pulled open the kitchen door and looked then, maybe the baby would have survived. You let him die yourself. Now who are you to doubt anyone else? The anger on Daniel's face became severe and he stammered as he tried to explain. "No, I thought you were jealous and said that on purpose to take me away from Sophia. I didn't realize you were in real trouble. Darling, can you forgive me this time? I'm the one who let you down. Let's try again and have a baby, okay?" He walked up to hug me, but I sidestepped. "Don't touch me. I don't feel comfortable." She took out the divorce papers she had prepared long ago and handed them to him. "Daniel, let's get a divorce. This is the second time I've asked for a divorce." The knot in his throat moved, surprise written in his eyes, asked, "Are you serious? You really want to divorce me?" He saw that I wasn't joking and completely panicked. "Honey, why do you want to divorce me? We have been together for 10 years. There's really nothing between Sophia and I. I went to stay with her this time just because she lost her memory, nothing else. The person I love is you, honey. Don't leave me, okay? I'll make it clear to Sophia right away and make her leave. Don't be mad, okay?" Seeing him so flustered, I couldn't help but sigh inwardly. I didn't realize he was such a good actor. If I hadn't received that recording, I might still have been fooled by him. How could I not expect that he already knew that Sophia was faking amnesia? I gave a soft cold snort and asked, "Amnesia? Lying so much that you even believe yourself?" I raised my cell phone and started to play that recording. Daniel's face immediately turned pale, as if all the blood had receded. Instinctively he tried to reach out and take my phone away. "Don't play it, honey, it's not true. I can explain." I sidestepped his hand and continued to play it, each of those words hitting him like a heavy blow to the heart. "Can you explain, Daniel? Why did you stay with her when you knew she was faking amnesia? Or do you want to explain how you think I'm so fat and pig-like that one look at me makes you cringe?" He tried to speak, but not a single word came out, his eyes filled with remorse. After a long time, he finally spoke slowly. His voice was as weak as a candle flame in the wind. "Wife, I was wrong, I was confused, I shouldn't have lied to you. Please give me another chance." I don't want to say more to him, directly interrupted him. "There is no chance. From the moment you decided to be dishonest with me, there was no turning back between us. I have a lot of evidence of your cheating in my hands. Don't delay any longer. Signing early is good for both of us." He slowly lowered his head, held his head with both hands, and crouched down painfully. "What's going on? Why did it turn out like this? I don't want to lose you, and I don't want to lose this family." I didn't turn back again, turned around and walked away. Behind her, Sophia, who had just finished her surgery, chased after Daniel. She said to him seriously, "Daniel, since my sister wants a divorce, it means that she doesn't really love you. For so many years, the person who loves you the most has always been me. Daniel, can we start over again? She had just touched the man's sleeve when he pushed her away. "Get away from me! Don't touch me! If you hadn't come to seduce me, how could I have let Emily get hurt? If it wasn't for you messing around behind my back, I would have been able to notice the problem that day and send Emily to the hospital in time, and our child would have been fine." The man's angry yelling and the woman's crying intertwined behind me. I didn't stop and walked straight out of the hospital. Since that day, Daniel had been waiting for me in the lobby of the hotel where I was staying. He doesn't say anything when he sees me, he just gazes at me with expectant eyes. When I took the initiative to mention the divorce, he just smiled bitterly and then didn't say anything else. Things dragged on for half a month, and I couldn't take it anymore, so I sold intimate photos of him and Sophia to paparazzi at a high price. Daniel was a nouveau riche in New York City and had always portrayed himself as a loving wife. When news of his cheating got out, it immediately caused a major backlash online. Public pressure ensued and Thomson Group's stock price took a big hit, continuing to fall. The company's board of directors put pressure on him to resolve his personal issues and salvage the company's reputation as soon as possible. He was so busy at work that he had no time to deal with me. And Sophia was caught up in public opinion. Someone exposed the reason why she broke up with Daniel back then, saying that it was because she pursued a foreign rich kid. This time, she returned to China actually because she was dumped by her boyfriend and wanted to seek help from her first love. Daniel knew that I had more important evidence at hand and had to give in. When I saw him again, the once confident look was gone. Now, he looked haggard, with stubble all over his chin, and his eyes revealed fatigue and helplessness. His whole person seemed to have aged 10 years. He silently handed me the signed divorce papers and said in a low voice, "Emily, I've signed it. The company is in danger. I can't lose it again." He is still the Daniel I am familiar with. Always prioritize your own gains and losses when interests are involved. I took the agreement. "There is no fluctuation in my heart," calmly said. "Good. From now on, we each live their own." A month later, the divorce decree was finalized. I immediately sued Daniel and Sophia for intentional injury. The surveillance camera in the living room of the house clearly recorded the entire process of them locking me in the kitchen, ignoring my cries for help, and causing me to miscarry. There were also revelations online about Daniel and Sophia not playing nice but making me donate blood after I had just had a miscarriage. Domestic violence, cheating, miscarriage, pretending to lose my memory. All these words come together like an 8 o'clock soap opera. The highly publicized affair gave Daniel and Sophia a bad name. A few days later, the court delivered its verdict. The two were found guilty of intentional assault. Defendant Daniel was sentenced to 3 years in prison and fined 500,000 RMB. The defendant Sophia was sentenced to 2 years and fined 300,000 RMB. After hearing this result, Sophia couldn't help but cry, saying over and over, "It's over, it's all over." Daniel and I looked at each other and a tear flowed from the corner of his eye. He used the shape of his mouth to silently say sorry to me. I looked at him, didn't answer, and then turned around, determined to leave the courtroom without looking at him again. It was nice and sunny outside, spilling onto my body, making it feel warm and seeming to drive away any previous unhappiness. I squinted at the sky as the sunlight filtered through the clouds, just like my life, where I could finally see hope.